Hey everyone, I'm Miranda and I'm part of the campus community team. This is the place where we commune and connect in Christ through Christ-like conversations. Come, let's get right into it.
Okay, so without further ado, let me invite my wonderful guests who will be speaking to us tonight up on stage. First off, we have Jimmy and Yvonne, right? And we also have Jimmy and Michelle. Please join us here up on the hot seat. I call this a hot seat, okay? So if you guys notice, we have two Jimmys. Both guys here are named Jimmy, right? So it's gonna be very fun. I think I'm gonna refer to you as young Jimmy and then younger Jimmy. Okay, does that work? Does that work? Okay. So before we begin, I think the audience would really like to get to know you guys a bit. Okay. So why don't you guys just tell us a bit about yourself, and especially in terms of your relationship. How do you guys meet? You know, how long have you guys been married? How many kids do you guys have? Stuff like that. Yeah. Tough? Young Jimmy, do you want to go first? Young Jimmy and Yvonne?
Thank you. So, young Jimmy, go first. Sometimes maths may count wrongly. So, we've been married for 19 years. So, 19 years. Correct. Okay. Sweat. Really sweat. So, we have 3 kids, 3 children. My eldest is here, Sierra. So she's 17. Then single. So I have to be single. So then my boy, 14 and 12 years old for my youngest. Yeah. So how do we get to know each other? Actually, it's kind of funny. I met her in my uni graduation, being a senior. So, you know, kepo, right? Single, kepo. So go and help out the juniors. So then, so she was there attending her friend's graduation. Yeah. So obviously, as a guy, we all very thick-skinned now. So what we do, we walk to the front and say hi, lah. Then I say, can I get do you need help for me to take photo? You know, so obvious, like, so, you know, that kind of thing. Then that's how the story starts, Yeah. Anything you want to add on?
We caught up for 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
But we didn't start immediately because I didn't have the intention.
I won. That's the most important, okay. The younger Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm Jimmy, and this is Michelle. And we've been married since 2017. So maybe you all can help me count. Okay. 7 years. Okay. We've been married for 7 years. We have 2 children. One, her name is Hannah. She's 3 years old. And the other one is 7 months. Yeah. Her name is Sarah. So how did we meet? It's a long story. But basically, I was a volunteer, and she was a staff with World Vision. If any of you donate to World Vision, it's an NGO that helps with children. Simple terms, okay? So they had a flood relief in Kelantan. And I remember my first sight of her. Okay? Okay? I mean, why wouldn't you remember? Okay, so I'm a typical bus backbencher. So if those of you who take buses, the cool people sit at the back. Yeah, I don't know whether it's still happening now or not. Yeah, the cool people sit at the back. So I thought myself as cool, so I sat at the back. And then she was right in front. She was shouting. She was shouting people's names. And then my eyes laid on her, and then I remember she was wearing orange. Maybe these jeans. Okay. Yeah, so, and then from then on, yeah, I don't want to say this in front of her, but I fell in love first. And then the rest is up to her, the rest of the story is up to her to construct.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about it. So Jimmy got it right, lah.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, great. So we actually have a fun activity planned for you guys. Okay, so you guys, as you can see, you guys have paddles, right? So I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and whichever person that corresponds to the answer to that question, you just flash it out. Okay? So I'll give you a test run. Okay, test run. Who is the man of the house? So if it's Jimmy, you put Jimmy. If it's yeah. Okay, just checking. Just checking if. Yeah. Okay. The question is, who is the man of the house? Okay, just checking. Just checking. We're all conservative here. Okay, very good. Okay, so this is a question, right? First question: who made the first move? Okay, so both Jimmys made the first move. Yeah, guys, take note. Okay, take note. Okay, girls won't approach you first. Guys have to thick skin a bit. Thick skin and approach, right? Okay, who was the first to say I love you? Ah. Okay. Right, we're getting somewhere. That's good. Third question, who is more romantic? Actually, interesting. I thought normally the girls are the more romantic ones in relationship, no? But not for Jimmy's. Not for Jimmy's. Jimmy's built different, bro. Hey, anyone else here named Jimmy, coincidentally? No? No? Okay, that's great.
Old person's name.
Oh, Jimmy's all out dating.
I think they generally outbeat us, even though we can be romantic. Yeah.
Okay. So guys, take notes again. Take note, okay? Take note. So, okay, this one. I assume that it's going to be the same answer. Who's more likely to forget birthdays and anniversaries? So we're seeing a clear trend. I didn't plan the questions as such, right? But here we are. Okay. Who's the better driver?
I think
Oh. Okay. Yvonne, you want to tell us why you think?
because he always knock my car, scratch my car. He's the one who left all the dented and all the scratches.
Is there one particular like scratch or dent that like when you see it really samtong one?
Yes.
What was it?
But I did it once on his car also, so we are even.
Okay. Give and take, yeah, give and take. Who is the tidier person? Tidier. Yvonne. Okay, guys generally quite messy, yeah? So, who likes to talk more? Jimmy! Oh. Michelle, you like to talk more? Yeah, I do. Really? Jimmy, do you find yourself like generally a more quiet person? I don't think you're very quiet also.
But she talks a lot.
Oh. Okay, last and final question. And this one better answer carefully, okay? Who's more likely to forget about picking up the kids? Okay, great. So I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you guys for that. And I think it's time for us to dive into what we're here for, okay? Which is the actual juicy questions. Not really juicy, but I think it's very insightful, and I don't think we're here to give anyone the answers today, right? But I think we're also here just to share a different perspective on things, because you guys have come really far in your relationships. You guys are happily married for a great many years, and I think we as campus students have a lot to take away from your experience, right? So just a first question to start us off. Do you guys believe there is such a thing as the one? The one. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The one, right? Anyone? Any takers?
Personally, for me, no. I don't believe in the one. Expound?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, yeah. So I don't think that there is the one, because I think it can be very limiting to believe that there is one. And also then you end up, second guessing yourself and if you fall into a different a relationship that you did not actually expect to be in. And so I think it's actually more of not having the one, but choosing the one. So once, because marriage marriage in God's eyes is a covenant relationship, right? So once you enter into it, then that person becomes the one. So I think you've heard all of this if you've grown up in church.
Okay, cool. Very nice. I love that. Jimmy, you got anything to add?
I think there is the one. No, no. Okay. Yeah, but okay, when I saw her, I thought she was the one. Okay.
Wow.
But with that being said, throughout your life, you're going to meet people who are, well, you think like, okay, yeah, this girl is for me. But throughout your life, you're going to meet girls, I'm talking from boys lah. Okay, you're going to meet girls that are, they might have better chemistry with you. They have a job that fits you, your lifestyle, and well, everything seems to work better compared to the girl that you're choosing to be your spouse. But I think, like she said, you're entering into a covenant relationship, and that's a choice. I think love, marriage, relationship, it's a choice. Okay? Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Jimmy and Yvonne, anything?
I think being the one is really, what do I really want?
Okay.
Yeah. He can be the one if he meet my criteria. I think the one is not really you particularly looking for it, but when you're not looking for it and he just appear, and you kind of assess in many ways, then you will make the decision that he is the one.
Okay.
To me, I think there is no such thing as really given the one, but what we need to is actually work on it. Yeah, if we put effort in it and we seriously committed, that means good times, bad times, we're not going to walk away like chicken out, right? Then the situation that we will overcome, we'll see a breakthrough and we get more matured. And from the maturity we see, we grow, deeper into understanding each other, into knowing each other's needs and wants. And from there, falling in love is a different ball game. It's not like, how do I say it? Falling in love is easy, but keeping in love is really difficult, right? Because, wow, that girl very pretty, or that girl very nice. It's easy to fall in love in that perspective, physical look, right? But once you start it, keeping it is a different ball game. So it requires, for me and my wife, we really spend a lot of time on communicating, right, and understanding each other's needs. In the younger days, it was one way, more of like I speak, she listen. So as we matured, she speaks more, I listen, and then we both speak. Neighbor don't listen, huh? So we both speak.
Children listen.
Children listen, and we both speak, and we begin to really dialogue, and going to the deeper needs of our hearts, right? Addressing our struggle, our wants, our dreams, and that's how I think we grow even deeper in love over years of marriage. 20, right? 19, sorry. 19 years of marriage, 21 years of relationship. Okay, now remember. Thank you.
Good answer. So I just put this question first to get it out of the way. So what I'm getting from you guys is more of like, there isn't the one in the sense where, if you miss out on the one, then I'm never going to get married, I'm going to be a celibate for life, that kind of thing, right? But the one is who you choose the one to be, right? And choosing someone to be the one requires a lot of intentionality, commitment, and ultimately sacrifice, right? So, and just to put it in more of a campus student context on us, I don't think any of us plan to get married anytime soon, right? So, do you think it's okay for us as campus students, since there's no the one, to just date around, in during our campus life? Or should we choose to date when we are seriously ready for a long-term relationship? Okay, what I mean by that is that the reason I ask this question is because growing up, my dad always told me something. You guys know Chinese Mandarin? Basically, I'll say Mandarin version first. He told me, 不要为了一棵树放弃整个森林. So what that means? Yeah, my dad, bro, my dad. So 还有很多鱼，我们讲这森林. So what that means, right, is don't lose sight of the whole forest just because of the tree you see in front of you. My dad's not asking me to be a playboy, right? But it begs the question, lah. So do you think it's okay, us as campus students, we're young, we might not know much about ourselves. Do you think it's okay if we just date around? No harm, right? To get to know each other, and before we decide on who we choose to be, who we choose to be our one. What do you guys think? Yeah, Jimmy can go first.
Wow, this one tough, but I'm going to be very truthful and sincere. Is it okay? Yeah. I think it's okay, in my opinion, honest opinion. Because my daughter is age, I think she's gonna like one fine day, Daddy, you say that, I remember. No. But I think it's okay to date, but must enter with boundaries. Right? I think that's very, very important because boundaries will keep us safe. At the same time, keeping us as an individual honored. Now, if you love a person, all right, will you honor her? Truly, you will, right? Right? I think to me, that's very important. In fact, you probably say, I'll probably look at it as in a closer friendship, right? You want a closer friendship because sometimes, maybe in today's world, it's not easy to have one relationship and therefore, she's the right one for me. And therefore, it's not that easy. I mean, she is my 5th relationship. Yeah, so I've been hurt 4 times. So joke. But the reality is that I think to be able to understand in every relationship, as long as you set clear boundaries, you are able to actually understand yourself better. What are your needs? And how would the other person want from you? And that's like managing expectation and knowing it. So in a way you grow up. Yeah, in a way you grow up and you learn to be able to handle relationship a lot more careful, a lot more even without hurting the other person's, painfully, kind of thing. So you take it more serious rather than you take it like, it's okay lah, we call it young days, we call it puppy love, right? So don't do that, but go in with an intention to say, hey, we're going to draw boundaries. So as long as you draw boundaries, I think that is okay. Yeah. What do you think, dear?
I think it depends on your definitions of date. I don't like people choose me like an item to date me and then go on and date another girl. I don't like this. So I think to me it must be purposeful. I do believe it. I have a choice. So before I want to date a person or agree to go out with a guy, I need to really assess him. Because most likely, if I'm not interested, I wouldn't even want to go out.
So not interested in getting married, is it? Is that the case?
If you have no intentions to actually go into a serious relationship, I wouldn't want to go out with you. I think there's a stage of exploring before you date. So I think it's just keep it as a friend that maybe not acquaintance, but it's more like a closer friendship to know each other before you actually date.
Right.
Yeah, to find out the person, whether you can accept the person in terms of the quality that you are looking at. Yeah.
Right. So it's more of you get to know them as friends first.
Yes.
And then when you eventually start getting into a relationship, it's more of a serious kind of thing where you see it as a long-term commitment kind of thing. Yeah. Jimmy, Michelle?
Okay, so for me, I think it really depends when you talk about dating. Are you talking about like, I want to date Ben, Jimmy, Tom, Harry all at once? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all gao dim sai my dinner? Is that what you mean? Or are you saying like Tom for 3 months, then Harry for 3 months? What do you mean?
Yeah, I guess it's more of the intention of getting into maybe being exclusive lah.
All right, so then if that's the case, right, then for me, I think the bigger question is, what is the intention behind me wanting to date? Like if I want to explore, right? If the purpose is to get a boyfriend, for me, if the purpose is I just want a boyfriend, then actually I don't actually like Tom, right? I just want the boyfriend who happens to be Tom. You get it? Like, it's just, I want that intimacy. I want that partner. I want to not be alone when I go to the mall or sit in McDonald's. And then that comes down, and it actually, if you go down that track, then I think your dating experience will not be so great, because you're not dating the person. You're dating the boyfriend. You're dating the girlfriend. So if you want to talk about it that way, then I would say no. But if you are actually looking for a serious relationship, you're looking to actually find a partner that will walk with you, then I think, yes, with boundaries, with a clear intention. So actually dating will bring you, if you do it well, it brings you clarity. Is this the type of person I can live with for the rest of my life? You know, like, what happens if he's paralyzed from the waist down and I can no longer ever have sex with him? Is that okay? Things like that. You know, I had to ask myself that when I like dated this guy, because you see, you know, like, so I mean, things like that. Really, you have to think about it like a bit more.
Sure. Yeah, it looks fine. It looks fine to me.
He looks fine. He looks fine. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Now I know whenever if I'm paralyzed, you
still love you.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Mine. I'm going to come from a very experience-based answer here. Okay. So, when you say that a lot of people coming from campus may not be actually looking for serious relationships, I've seen a lot of times that people even in high school or in campus, they go through a serious relationship and then they get married. I think I have a friend's success story who they got together at 15 and then they got married at, how old? Maybe 30. So they took that long to get married. And 10 years LDR. Okay. And yeah. So I think for me, it does come down to the intention, okay? I had a relationship prior to her. Surprise. Okay. No, I had a relationship prior to her that lasted for 4.5 years. And
4 years, 9 months.
Good memory. Aiyo. Okay. I didn't tell you the 3 months all counted. Okay. 4 years and 9 months. Okay. Yeah. But why didn't it work out? Because I think from the get-go, right, it was more, I didn't have a relationship then. And then a lot of my friends around me had already started dating, had girlfriends, had boyfriends. And what I wanted at the time was just to have a relationship, like she said. Was just to have a girlfriend. And, you know, yeah, it's very difficult to break up. I don't know. Maybe as a Christian boy, it's very difficult to break up because you're always anti-confrontational. So it was at a point where we were going to take different paths, then broke up. But looking back, really, I think that was not ideal. Not ideal.
Just out of curiosity, how do you guys break up? How do you end up breaking up with her? Through text, ah?
Huh?
Don't tell me through text, lah, bro.
No,
Or
no, no,
email,
no,
ah?
no.
That's even better, bro.
No. No. Face to. I'm not that old. Face to face. Face to face. It's not you, it's me. No. Yeah, I use all the. Okay, no, I didn't use the lame name. I just, yeah, it was a long conversation, a lot of tears. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. Thanks for sharing. I think like I really like what you guys said about how when you date, it comes down to your intention, right? Because it's like if you date just because you like the idea of having someone or calling someone your own, like, oh, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, right? Then you're just in love with the idea or the concept of having like a boyfriend or a girlfriend or another half, right? Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but our generation, we have this term called a situationship. I don't know if you guys heard of it before. Situationship means you are more than friends, but you're less than boyfriend, girlfriend. You're like in that gray area in between. You guys have any like thoughts on that? Situationship, what do you guys think? Can, cannot? How do you get out from a situationship?
I think it's a very dangerous situation. Ship. Okay. Yeah. How do I answer that? I think in our time it's the term was pet what? Pet brother, pet sister. Yeah. Our time, yeah, we had a different term, pet brother, pet sister. I have never had a pet brother or pet sister. I don't know whether do you have a pet brother? Yeah. I think it's not exactly ideal because it, like you said, very easy to cross boundaries. And what kind of boundaries are you going to set? Yeah, are there clear boundaries to a situationship compared to a relationship? Relationship, you're clear. You're going in with well, what are your goals and what are your aims in a relationship? I guess is there a proper definition of your goals and what you're aiming to be? Are you aiming to be in a relationship later, or is this situationship just
Just a situation.
just a situation? I don't know. Are you better versed with this term?
I don't know. And if you know Chinese, I think in Mandarin it's called liao mei. It is like flirtatious. Yeah, you know.
Flirtatious.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, without any aim, you know, and without any string attached, you know, you can do more than a friendship, but you are not in the relationship. This kind of thing, I think at the end of the day, either girl or boy will be hurtful. You know, because there's no clear boundary, there's no direction, and more so if there's another person coming in, it will be very complicated.
So what do you guys maybe have to say to someone who might be in a situationship right now? Okay, like pet brother, pet sister, kind of. So, situationship. Okay, let's stick to that. That sounds much better in my opinion. Senator. Yeah, what do you guys like? Yeah, do you guys have anything to say or any tips or?
I think is to draw boundaries again. I think it's not healthy, but if you're already into that situation, is to think back why in the first place you are into that situation. So the deeper inner root is that assumption make is the guy. So he may be going through some struggle, right, of either recognition, all right, from the parents, for example, or friends, which is why he is going into a gray area. We call it our uncertainty area. So the deeper inner root is that person itself is going through some struggle, Yeah, so I think therefore the best thing when we are lost is to not to do anything silly. So because you do not want to harm the other person. Yeah, so it's slowly walk away or just remain as a normal friend and do something else, find a sports library or whatever, So do cycling, yeah, thank you. So do something else that will keep you busy and well, we are Christian, right? Read the Word of God, spend time with God. Yeah, so that kind of things, yeah, and that's where you find back the inner you, right? Because that moment you are probably lost, so find back the inner you. Once you strengthen yourself, that's the moment you should go into a relationship. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So now that I hear about this situationship, I think I've been in one. So I was in one, a long time ago when I was in high school. My best friend was a guy, and we were just really best friends. And he was best friends with 3 girls. Okay. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and I was one of them. Yeah. No, but really. Yeah. So anyway. So what happened was he was always with this girl, and they broke up like in year 7, which is like Form 2. They broke up and got together 6 times. Okay, so back and forth. And in between, obviously he's like leaning on us like as friends. So I was one of the best friends that he had. So what happened was obviously I developed feelings for him. But because he was always in and out of relationships, I was always just using the mask of best friend. Like there was one time I still remember, like in the photography room, right? When we, back then, old time, we developed film, in like the dark room. Like we were holding hands and we were doing this kind of stuff, but we didn't do anything else, besides holding hands, okay? Because we were in a situationship, right? So we were only holding hands. But after that, right, I kind of, wait, why you laugh? After that, actually, I realized my heart had run out. My heart had run away out of me because it was already too late. Because I was like best friend, but actually I realized that too late I had developed a very, very deep crush on this guy, and my heart would get broken because he really didn't care about me. It was just more of the fact that I was there to hold his hand to nurse his broken heart when he was in between the breakups with his girlfriend, with his girlfriend. So I think a situationship, like if you're in a situationship, I think the question to ask yourself maybe is, how did I get here? What do I want out of it? And what is my end goal? Like really, what is your end goal? Is it to be with this person? Because if it is, you might as well have the conversation now. If it isn't, then you have to ask yourself, am I prepared to get hurt? Because if I'm not willing to commit, that person is also not willing to commit. And one day you're going to wake up, or you might wake up and realize, oh my gosh, I'm totally into this guy. I'm totally into this girl, but it's too late. Because that person is like, oh no, red flag, this person wants to be with me, run. And then you'll end up with a broken heart. So yeah.
Yeah, I like what you guys said. It's sort of like you're giving your boyfriend privileges to someone who's not your boyfriend. Yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah, because you're like stuck in that gray area, right?
Sorry, I'll just add something.
Yeah.
To be honest, realistically, most of these friendships or situationships are not going to be equal. Okay? I think more often than not, the guy actually has a minor crush on the girl. I think for me also, a lot of my good friends, a lot of my high school best friends were girls. But I remember one time she came, she was calling, she called me and cried that she broke up with her boyfriend. Then cry, where? Okay. Then I want to be the hero, and I actually had a crush on her. I said, do you want me to come over? She said no. She said no. Then okay. No chance to go home. Okay, yeah.
So I would like to add something. I think opposite gender, right? there's a lot of things that you have to set boundary, because otherwise you really have accidentally you can cross over. Like when we do counseling, we do not counsel opposite gender, because when you share your vulnerability with another opposite gender, that is where the meltdown moment. That even you don't have the intention, and you will sort of lead you to believe in it, and you will do what is not appropriate.
Yeah.
So I think if you have any issues or any problem, you should ask yourself, if people comes to you, then you probably want to direct them to the same gender, so that they can actually accountable for them, than you yourself risking yourself. Right. So you have to be very, I say, well aware of this, so that you will not fall into it.
Yeah. Okay, just a PSA before I continue. Jimmy and Yvonne are actually heading the PMC Ministry of SIBKL. What is PMC? PMC is basically premarital counseling. So basically, if you want to get married in SIBKL, they have to interrogate you first, basically. So yeah, so like that's why they keep mentioning boundaries, and I think that's very important as well. Your intention, and it's good for us to always like what Yvonne said, be self-aware, right? I think a lot of times situationships, they don't happen like that, but they develop and they go on and on because both parties, or one party right, is not willing to face the reality, or face they're in denial, right? They're not aware, or they don't want to be aware about where they actually stand on the issue and where the other party might stand on the issue, right? So and like you guys mentioned also, like there comes a point of time where when you're very vulnerable and you sort of vent or rant to like someone of the opposite gender, right? It's very easy to get attached because you're vulnerable to them, and it's like sort of like a piece of yourself is being given to them for them to like protect, right? And yeah, on that note, I'm just gonna give another hypothetical situation, a scenario that happens very often in our day and age, right? I'm in a relationship. I am in a relationship, right? Yeah. Okay. That's not the point. The point is, a lot of people, they are in a relationship, but they come to me and say they have a best friend of the opposite gender. Can a person be in a relationship and have a best friend of the opposite gender? It's getting real quiet in here. Really, really quiet.
I think my opinion is no, because when it is opposite gender, let's say on behalf of a guy, the greatest challenge for a guy is, guy being a guy, Paul will know because he's looking at me. So, well, guy, all would probably agree, right? Guys, we have the ego, right? So sometimes we are not able to share our struggle with another guy. And probably we find that a girl will probably relate better. But when you have a girlfriend, you are supposed to be more transparent than with another person, right? So that's weird. So imagine right now we are married. I'll tell her that actually my best friend is another girl, and I feel more comfortable sharing with her. How would she feel? Tak boleh, right? Cannot. It's as simple as that. Vice versa, it's the same thing, right? If she tells me, I tell you what, I cannot talk to you. I want to talk to my best friend, and he's a guy. I'll be like, huh? All right? Are you sure or not? Yeah, bo, you got problem or not? No. So you can't, right? So that's the reality. Yeah. So I think don't even go there, in the first place. Yeah.
I think any relationship, right? It must be blessed by your spouse if you have a spouse. Otherwise, it would be a girlfriend or boyfriend. You see, so I think it is not advisable to do that. You better break the trust, because if you are dating and with intentions to progress to another level, a deeper level of relationship, then you should actually manage it that in such a way that, Lord, you do not breach the trust. If you want to maintain the friendship, then you have to really seek the permission of the other half. And best is they can do outing together and be family friends, or in a group setting, But anything that is private, right, it should not be done even in a private message, I feel. So to me, we are very well aware of it, because when you are sharing something, because best friend you will share everything. So sometimes you are sharing something that is your emotions, your thoughts and everything. And it can lead to emotional adultery, It don't have to be physical. It's a sign of betrayal, the early stage of betrayal. Depends on how you look at it. Yeah.
I think my previous answer also a bit related. So realistically, I think it's not equal. Most of these best friend, boy and girl best friends, they're not equal. So more often than not, I mean, I don't have the statistics in my head, but more often than not, someone likes someone. Okay? You want to lie to yourself, don't lie to yourself. More often than not, I'm not saying it always happens, but I think it'll be it's a very rare situation if they're equal and they're just best friends.
All right, so I think for me, just to add on quickly, like if you are dating and then, okay, I think sometimes it can be hard because you already have a best friend of an opposite gender, but then you enter into a relationship with someone. So what do you do then, right? So I think something that can help is to actually discuss with your best friend, especially if really you are betul-betul like friend zone, okay? To discuss with your best friend and say, all right, if I ever enter into a relationship, or if you ever enter into a relationship, one of us will step back. Then I think there is a chance to save the friendship. Because one, it shows the person that you're dating that you prioritize their feelings and who they are. Two, the person that you're dating actually should be your best friend. Yeah. Because, all of you in a relationship, right? 90% of the things that go on in your head is about the person that you are dating, correct? Right? So if you are affected by the person that you're dating, the first person that you will go to is your best friend. Yep. And again, like when Edison shared, vulnerability means sharing a piece of your heart, right? And asking someone to protect it. You run into that situation where you might actually be giving pieces of your heart to your best friend while trying to salvage the relationship that you have with the person that you are committed to. So yeah, I would suggest that you talk to your best friend and then you just talk to them and say like, hey, if I ever start dating, I'm gonna step back and respect. Please, I hope you respect that, and I will respect you also. And success story is that actually my best friend, not that guy, my other best friend when I was older was also a guy. And never mind, it was also a guy, and we actually did have that discussion. So when he started dating first, his now wife, and when he started dating her and he called me, I still remember, he called me at like 10 p.m. to talk about it, we decided that I would step back. That means we would minimize contact for the first 3-6 months so that he would be able to stabilize the relationship with his girlfriend. And today, I am close to both of them. In fact, I'm closer to his wife than I am to him today. So it is possible for you to maintain that friendship in a healthy and honorable way.
Yeah. Well said. Words of wisdom, right? So yeah, if you have a best friend now and you get into a relationship and you tell your best friend that like, oh, I think we should set boundaries, and the guy or the girl like, no one, then you know they probably like you lah, right? Yeah, so that's the case. Like what Jimmy said, that like normally it's one-sided, and honestly from my experience also, it's normally one-sided. The people I talk to and everything, is definitely one-sided. And it comes back to being aware and whether you want to face the music and face reality or not, right? So the next question I'm going to ask can be a bit touchy, right? But I think it's important for us to talk about it because as campus community, we always say that we're not just here for a good time, but we're also here to glorify God and prioritize God in every area of our lives, right? So I'm just going to throw the question out there, okay? Is it okay for me as a Christian to date someone who is not of the same faith as me? Yeah.
Life story sharing. So I'm not brought in a Christian family. All right. So many years ago, how do I get to know God? Right. Is that I went after a girl who is a Christian, and so we got to know each other through some church outing, and then so I told her, I like you. I find that you are very different from many other people. Right? I mean, all girls who are Christian, you all agree, right? Somehow that glow in you just different, right?
All the girls in the house say,
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. So then, but then I tell you, it was like, at that time, I was full of confidence. I think I'm the most handsome boy in the world, and that kind of things. So thank you.
Same, all the Jimmies.
So, however, she said no to me. Yeah. She says, I think I have some interest with you, yes, but let's explore with boundaries. So she says, I will only date a Christian, to her. So I says, okay, wow, what's so special about your God? Huh? So I go, lor. I said, okay, I go to church. Lor. I said, follow her, go to church. Oh, wow, God. Wow, so many people listening, you know. Wow, thousands of people listening. Something wrong somewhere, must be the speaker very good. That time, you're not a believer. Speaker must be very good. After that, next week go, oh, message quite good, huh? Wow. Then slowly, but it took me about 6 months, and I accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior. But she's not my wife, huh? So she's not my wife. So then I realized that she's not meant for me. Yeah, but during that time, the good thing about why I mentioned about boundaries is that during that time, we set very clear boundaries. There's no even touching hands, but it's just conversation that maybe more than a friend, like, what do you like about, your future would be, something deeper, right? That kind of things. So how would you want your family to be, that kind of things. So more into that kind of conversation, but nothing more than that. So we do talk, but we have clear boundaries. So when I told her that I think we should remain friends, or she really queried me and says, why 101 question, why, And obviously I didn't ghost her, I was like, I think maybe the Lord, don't know how to escape, right? So I say maybe the Lord, it's just somehow you've been a vessel. But the true fact is that we, at that time, I felt that somehow, thank God, because she has set a clear boundaries, it makes me think deeper than what is the underlying with her priority. Who is more important in her life, right? That has really set me a very good, clear demarcation of a normal person versus a person who really stood firmly with the firm foundation. Yeah. So that kind of things. Yeah, and we move on. So when I date with her, she did something. I'm diverted a bit. She did something very extraordinary. Is that she says on a second month of dating, I think second month, huh? So she says, you don't play a fool with me. All right? Are you playing with my heart? You don't play a fool with me. It really made me like pause for. I was like, wow, this girl, nobody have said this before. It's like, should I one step forward or one step backwards? So I really think of that night. I was like, wow, really? What should I do? If I go forward, that means I should be prepared to get married, if I don't, I better chicken out and walk away, So both Christian at that time. So, but the reality is that I really think that's the right question. And so from that moment onwards, it's not just a conversation of, oh, how many kids you want, or how you want your family to be. It's not about that. But you enter with a serious commitment to say that, hey, there can be struggle can be real, there can be argument can be real also, but nevertheless, we're gonna face the thing together. Right? So it's very different. I think that helps to make us win in this relationship for the first step. Yeah, as a first step, that was what I felt was good. Right? Do you feel it? Good?
Let me share my story. Before I know Jimmy, I actually dated for 4 years with a guy who is different faith. So, that 4 years, right, God showed His love to me, over me. It was difficult. I got to know him. I'm a born Christian, but no, actually born again Christian. But then I got baptized. At the second years when I courted him. You know, he challenged me one thing, that if you are going to baptize, I'm going to break up with you. So these direct confrontations make me think that, is this the guy for me? You know, and let alone, to me is, I put it aside, and I went ahead with my baptism. And the thing is, right, when I come back, right, I face a lot of challenges. As like, constantly I was being challenged with all sorts of questions. You know, it's like, why won't you do this? You know, it's like mocking me, you know, being a Christian. So I think I take it as a sign, as God is telling me that when a person rejects you, I don't know whether you're facing this, but I was facing this, that it was very disheartening that he rejected me because of my Christian principle and moral. So I think it's very hard for me to accept that, and yet I was disobedient. So I went ahead, and you know, then on when we were in the courtship, 3rd year, 4th year, that I started thinking and asking him that, where are we? What did you see in our relationship, and where are we heading to? Because I want to know. So he said, I will not marry you. So I got a shock, and I asked him why. He cannot give me an answer. But clearly, I think he's just enjoying the dating, but he has no purpose and has no intention, or even he didn't even want to get married. And I know that until now he's not married. So I think sometimes you got to ask yourself that either you are walking away from God, or you are walking away from your boyfriend. And you got to choose which one is good for you. It's your choice. Yep. So you have to ask yourself that what is your non-negotiable? Clearly, I didn't want this. I don't want my relation turn to something that, you know, in vain. I cannot even bear the pain. So I was challenged, constantly challenging myself with all this scenario, and I actually asked myself, if really one day he wants to marry me, do I want to marry him? This is a time that I really take serious thought about it. And I realized that I want to marry, but I'm not ready to marry him. So I cannot face all this. So to me is, I break it. Yeah, because I cannot take this. Really, really cannot take this.
Yeah, and I get that. Yeah, like what Yvonne had just shared. Thank you for being so vulnerable, and for sharing something so, like you said, very disheartening. And I think, yeah, that's the reason why it's a bit hard to do life with someone of like who shares a different faith, because personally it's a bit hard to do life with someone who has the same faith with you sometimes, right? So, and in terms of values, I think there might be some disagreements, and that might give way to more conflict in the future, right? Okay, I know we're a bit short on time, but I have one last question. Maybe you can go through this quickly. And which is what something Yvonne and Jimmy mentioned about boundaries. So how can we, as a community or as Christians, glorify God in our relationship and make it make our relationship glorify God? And what are some practical handles that we can set physical boundaries or maybe emotional boundaries with our partner before we are married? PMC.
Me again. I think first of all, you must know if a guy really serious about the relationship, they will want to do it right. Okay, this is the whole context. So they not only want to pursue you, but they also want to make sure the process is right and pure. So I think that is a way that they honor God. So I think this is non-negotiable. So to help to really set a boundary, you really have to have a practical step that try to date in a group law. Don't always date in a private setting that will lead you into temptations. And I think another thing is also, you must have an accountability partner. This is very important, because why you are doing it, why do you need it? It's because you want to start right. And you really want people to journey through with you. And we all have a blind spot. We cannot see. Sometimes we are on a cloud night, right? Then it's very hard for us to guard our heart. So we really need to have another third party who is godly, that he can share the same value. And they are watching you. You are open. You are open for them to really watch you. The good things about the Christian community is really you grow together, you build each other, you confess to each other, you pray together, and you are open for corrective action. If you really cross the boundary, that is what it's all about. You have somebody who watch you, that will not let you fall, you see, so that it will prevent you from so many obstacles. You could have just have a very smooth and very, you make it right, everything will be right, you see.
Maybe I add on a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I think you refine a little bit your question again.
Question is, what are some practical handles that we can do to set proper physical boundaries and emotional boundaries in our relationship that glorifies God?
Okay, thank you. I think the first steps to do is really to start as a friend, right? That's the best. Because as a friend, you do not cross any boundaries, right? At the same time, I like what Yvonne says about going together, dating as a group, or coming to a community. Because good thing about church is we are a community, right? So going together as a church, and should you have an intention to say, hey, let's start, assumption make that you have started, right? So I feel that don't even go to straight away holding hands, right? Have more dialogues, because dialogues will tell the maturity level of the person and also the communication level, right? So sometimes can be a lot of communication can be pretty surface, right? I do headhunter as a profession. That means I interview people, get jobs, right, for people. So when we do interview with people and we ask them tough questions, then we see their thought processes. Because their thought processes will define the maturity level of a person, right? So how his thought processes or her thought processes will be able to tell what is in the inner heart, right? Then only you say, hey, if you go closer, can I know how you treat your parents? Have conversation. You don't even need to visit the parents per se, right? Because visiting the parents is like maybe sending a different signal to the parents, right? But even you yourself may not be ready. But reality is, how do you treat your parents? How do you treat tell me more a little bit about your brother, your sister. What do you like about your brother? What do you dislike about your brother? How does your father treat you? How does your mother treat you? How do you treat them? Right? These kind of things, then you know how would that person treats you, or want her to be treated in return. So you would roughly be able to gauge the physical needs, emotional needs. A lot of generations will talk about, or practically every relationship will talk about the love language, right? What is your love language? Find out about it, right? Whether it's physical touch, formation of words, gift. If that person is a physical touch, then you should be very watchful. Because for example, if the girl is physical touch, that means that girl would love to be hold hands or even hug, right? And when you hug, then it will lead to one to another, right? So is to be able to say, okay, we can only, for example, only hold hands, right? So from there, that's how you wash over physical portion. But at the same time, what I want to emphasize on, physical alone is not good enough, or emotional alone is not good enough. Now, as a Christian, we also need to spend time together praying, right? Because only through prayer, you will know the maturity level of the spiritual level of that person, right? Because if that person is not matured spiritually, he can be matured by knowledge, right? But, well, he can preach the 1,000 words, but if he's not walking the 1,000 steps, then it's a different ball game altogether, right? So only through prayer, then you're able to see how deep that person is, right? And if that person has nothing to be fear of, that person should be able to be transparent to you. Now, at the same time, my friends is her friend is my friend. So, in a way, she is able to see the full me by looking through how my friends behave in front of me. So I can be a good boy, right? Yeah, so Paul laugh. So we hide together. But when in my uni days, when my uni friends or my childhood friends is, the moment they come in, imagine these people will start calling all your nicknames, right? Jimmy, I'm not sure about you, but I have a nickname like Jimmy, and then everybody will laugh, Then she would know, oh, your friends call you Jimmy, and you do not react with anger, you do not react, you tend to be a bit calm, So she will be able to gauge my real character a little bit more, right? So I think that would be a boundary that you should be setting, right? At the same time is that to be able to honor God is really to be able to, one thing that we do is that when we commit ourselves is to be able to hold hands and say, let's commit this relationship to the Lord. And we take it to the Lord, right? That means one for each other, we take turns to pray for the relationship. I think that will really honor God, right? Rather than, you pray about it, if the Lord spoke to you, then, I'm for you. That kind of thing is not going to work, right? So you got to really take initiative, right, to put effort into it. Because if you don't put effort, that's the fruits that tada buah punya lah, that kind of things. Yeah.
Just a quick one. Mine's not really a practical handle, but it's more to the guys and girls. Don't depend on the other party to set the boundaries. You have to set them yourselves. And you have to maintain that boundaries yourself. Because I expected her to set the boundaries. Because, yeah, I thought, oh, this one, good Christian girl. You set the boundaries. Then, I just follow her. I won't fall, because you set the boundaries. And then we fell together. Okay, I remember, you talk about even good, you just be in a public setting. Even public setting will also something happen. Okay, yeah, I know. I mean, what happened was we were upstairs in my house, and we were in an open area, and then, well, yeah, we were making out, and then my father walked, and then, yeah, open area also we got hormonal. So yeah, open area got hormonal. Then we also want to make out. Then my father, okay, go back into the room. Okay, pretend you didn't see. Yeah. Go on.
Okay, so the moral of the lesson is no, but so I think the question was about practical handles for boundaries, right? So I think we can speak from experience as people who fell. How far we fell was not okay. So for him, actually, are you okay if I share this part? Okay. So for him, actually, in his previous relationship, he went all the way with his ex. For me, with my ex, I did not go all the way, but I definitely did go some ways. So when we both got together, I'll tell you this, we actually set an SS3, Kelana, SS3, Sarawak Laksa, I still remember. We sat down, we drew out our plan. Okay, maximum is holding hands. No time alone in the car. 2 weeks later, all gone. Okay, no, I'm just being very honest, very, very honest. Not all gone now. Yeah, but we fell. We actually broke the boundaries that we had set. And I think half of the reason, I mean, there are multiple reasons for it, but one is definitely that. I think one, we were both seeking intimacy, not God. Two, I think in terms of setting the boundaries, I was relying on him, like he said, I was relying on him to say stop. He was relying on me to say stop. But of course, both of us are going to be like, no one say stop, go lah. You know what I mean? So, no. So, but I think for many of us, even when I was your age, right, and which was quite long ago, but when I was your age, I was also thinking like, actually, what's the point of setting all these boundaries? I asked myself, what's the point? Why should I do everything that Netflix tells me is okay? Why should I not do everything that Netflix tells me is okay to do? Why? And so I was asking, and actually, in the Bible, if you want to be really what about it, the Bible does not explicitly talk about this. But the Bible does, when you read it in context, it talks about it very clearly. That's one. And then two, I think when you don't set these, like the boundaries, what happens is we realize it, I spoke about it with him actually today, and we were reflecting like, because we didn't set those boundaries, what happened to our relationship? And we realized that we actually had to pay for the consequences of it. Even though today you see us like we're like a pretty happy couple, and our marriage is quite stable most of the time. But but actually we paid the price. For example, this is what happened. Sorry, I'm just like going on. Okay, because you see, he went with his ex all the way, right? I constantly compared myself to that experience that he had with her. So I was always like I was so insecure, like, because I was like, oh no, like, and that's why I tell you, I remember that it's 4 years, 9 months. Because in my head, for 4 years and 9 months, I was really scared that at the 4 years and 9th month, he will break up with me. Because he and his ex had done everything. She had given him everything. But in the end, they still called it quits, right? Yeah. So that was one. So I was very insecure. And I still remember there was one time I had a real meltdown. And I asked him, I said, like, you really went all the way with her. Like, if I hold on and when we get married, if we get married and I go with you, you've already experienced it. What's new? And that, of course, that's why we talk about keeping sex for marriage, right? But of course, this guy, what he said was like, no lah, very different lah. He said, she was Port Dickson. You will be like Maldives.
Unmatched Riz. Your Riz is unmatched, bro.
Still the same beach experience, but completely different, right? So, but yeah, so actually in the end, we still had to pay that price, and we went through so many arguments because of that. And I think if we had maintained better boundaries, I would never have questioned his love for me. Because I would have known that he was paying the ultimate sacrifice to hold off to be with me, because he already had experienced that high. So he knows what it's like, right? And he could easily have it with me. But if we had maintained better boundaries, I would never have questioned his love for me, because I knew that he was making that sacrifice for me. And dating actually is about that. It's about choosing whether the sacrifices that you make for this person are worth your love, like your love for that person is enough for you to sacrifice whatever it is, your carnal desires, everything for that person, and to reserve yourself for that permanent covenant relationship. So yeah, so boundaries, like Paul said, Apostle Paul, not this Paul. Everything is permissible, but not everything is beneficial.
Yeah.
Right? It's exactly the same with that. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I think that's a very good place to wrap up, because then again it comes back to like you said dating is about sacrifice, and one of the sacrifice is to set proper boundaries so that you don't take away the full experience of marriage, I would say lah. So it's just like how when you're in a situationship, you give boyfriend privileges to someone who's not your boyfriend. In the same way, in a relationship, we shouldn't give husband privileges, wife privileges to someone who's not a husband or a wife.
Without the covenant.
Without the covenant, right?
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to Campus Community, where we commune and connect in Christ through Christ-like conversations. If you would like to keep in touch with us, feel free to follow us on our socials at campuscommunity.sibkl. Do keep in touch and see you in our next conversation.